You're tuned to 88.5, member-supported KCSN, Northridge, Los Angeles, a service of California State University, Northridge. We're going to work from the beginning and up to that version of an old Buck Owens classic by Bill and Bonnie Hearn. On 88.5, member-supported KCSN, the Maddox Brothers, Ugly and Slouchy. And then we heard Carl Butler with a little honky-tonk-itis. James Hand with In the Corner, At the Table, At the Jukebox. He's got an album out on a label called Cold Spring Records. Can you tell me more about it?
Well, it's produced by Dave Biller in Wakefield.
Dave Biller from Biller and Wakefield. They've got records out on High Tone, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Furniture too, don't they?
Oh yeah, James Intveld's got some of Wakefield's furniture in his home.
That's right.
I've been looking for some
I
too.
took some from his house. I was over there. He went to the bathroom and I loaded the truck and I was on.
We heard Lefty Frizzell with a little Cigarettes and Coffee Blues, and then ended the set with, off their new album, Watching Life Through a Windshield. It's on Back Porch Records. It's called The Best Darn Collection of Driving Songs You'll Ever Hear. That may be true because I've been playing it in my car and having a great time listening to it whenever I'm driving. A11, Bill and Bonnie Hearn on Citybilly. I'm René Engel. Joining us on today's program, Ronnie Mack is here. He's just to my right. We'll get him behind a microphone. James Intveld. We'll get James behind a microphone. He'll tell more stories about raiding the Wakefield abode for furniture for his own home and other escapades that he's been up to. 20 minutes after 5 o'clock, Ronnie Mack, James Intveld up with you next. And we'll start our visit with them with a recording that's a duet with Ronnie and Rosie Flores. It's called Brand New Heartache on 88.5, member-supported KCSN. Digging into the Felice and Boudleaux Bryant songbook for Brand New Heartache, a duet recorded on Fairfax Avenue, huh, Ronnie? Actually right here in Los Angeles, near my old high school.
Yeah, that place actually burnt down.
The studio or my high school?
No, the studio. It did. Years ago, maybe months after we finished recording stuff over there, they had a fire there, and I don't know what it is now. Like a laundromat or something, I don't know. But
they didn't put a studio back.
That was about 88 or 89, and that's a song that Felice and Boudleaux Bryant wrote, and the Everly Brothers originally did it in the 50s, and they did it as kind of a ballad, and I learned it off a version that Graham Parsons and Emmylou Harris did as a kind of a shuffle tune, and I always loved it. And from the time I was a kid in the 70s and heard it, I always thought, man, I wish I could, I was like this little kid, and nobody, and so wishing I could get somewhere and play somewhere, and I thought, man, I wish I could just find the perfect female singer that would do the Emmylou part, and I could do the song with someday. And then as years went on, and I just got kind of know people, and Rosie came along, and she was a big fan of all those people too, Graham and Emmylou, and she even knows Emmylou and stuff. And we decided to do this song. James Intveld played bass on it, and Steve Fischel played steel on it back in the days when he lived here. And stuff like that.
Steve was playing in Emmylou's band.
Yeah, he sure was. Well, actually, it was after he did this.
That he played in Emmylou's band.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Ronnie Mack with us on Citybilly. Also with us, James Intveld, hiding behind his mandolin. Howdy, James.
Good, Renee. How you doing, man?
I'm doing really well. It's good to see you both. Ronnie, there's an event this Tuesday night that I think has both a lot of joy around it, but also a certain amount of sadness and disappointment, because after 12 years and 8 months, there's no more barn dance.
Yeah, that's for sure. We ended it a month ago. And we started at a little place in January of 1988 called Little Nashville, and for
Which
a couple
is here
months
in the Valley.
It was anyway in North Hollywood. And we started here on KCSN, and it was so cool because it was almost like a little local Grand Ole Opry in a way, because we were doing the show at the club and live on the radio at the same time. I mean, totally live. And our first show, January 8th, James was on. He was actually playing bass in a house band and featured, and Dave Alvin was on, Rosie Flores was on, and Ray Campy, Billy Swan, all those people were on the first. And they had a line down the street, and here's this little bar that mostly had middle-aged, older country people that were into Kenny Rogers songs, and that's what the house band there would do, kind of thing. And we showed up with people with mohawks and rockabilly guys, leather jackets, and they did over $2,000 at the bar in this place on a Tuesday night, and they didn't know what hit them. And they thought, but they didn't get it. You know, they thought they were being invaded by Martians, and they were like really rude to people and stuff. So they were like bringing these huge crowds every week, and they were like being really nasty. And a doorman, I remember one night, like at the end of the night, like all hanging around talking, a doorman took Rosie and like shoved her out the door, and she was like crying out on a lot and stuff. And I thought, I gotta get out of here, you know. So Billy Thomas over at the Palomino was right around the corner, and they didn't have anything going on at Tuesday. So he kept calling and calling, why don't you bring it over here? Why don't you bring it over here? And it was like the free admission thing, which I always wanted. Was like a little stickler, which it always is with clubs, you know. But I always wanted to maintain a free admission policy, because my deal at the time was to have an alternative to like modern country radio and the Nashville kind of, you know, pop oriented thing.
And really to have a showcase for all the new performers
exactly
here in LA.
And the people that do their original material and stuff like that. And I thought, well, you know, this kind of, whether it's alternative country, traditional hillbilly, bluegrass, rockabilly, Cajun, Zydeco, all this stuff that radio doesn't really expose, and feels that there's not enough of a market for. I thought, well, the best way to get people to be exposed to it is to give it to them for free. You know, and when you have, you know, at that time it was like such a healthy scene. It was like really healthy, you know, and you got Dave and Rosie and James, and later on Big Sandy, all these people on the show, and people, and the press really picked up on it. Wow, you get to see this stuff for free.
And with KCSN being the sponsoring radio station at the time, were you broadcasting live from the barn dance?
Oh, yeah. And when we moved to the
From
Palomino,
when you did it at Little Nashville and
from
after the move to the Palomino as well.
And of course, the club had a lease telephone lines and all that stuff. It was actually expensive to the club, you know, to do it too. But so we moved to the Palomino. He went for the free admission thing. I remember the first night Jerry Lee Lewis was there, sitting at the bar at the Palomino.
Did he get up and sing with you guys?
Well, it's a funny story, because James sort of knew Jerry Lee in a way, and we went over and he introduced me to him because his brother was in Rick Nelson's band, James' brother, and James got to know Jerry Lee through that.
We used to do tours together.
Yeah.
Rick Nelson and Jerry Lee Lewis used to do package tours together all the time, so I got to know all those people. And
so we tried to talk to Jerry Lee, and he said he would, and he said, I got to get a little drunker first. I'll get up. Remember that? And we told Wick, the sound man, and Wick got all mad because he had to move the piano out and move all the equipment around, and we actually got KCSN to extend the show for an extra hour so we could get them up, because we were only going to broadcast from like 9 to 11 kind of thing. So we called back to KCSN, and they said, okay, we'll go till 12. And I remember Lucinda Williams was on the show that night, and we finished like doing our set, and James says, well, why don't you go down and ask Jerry Lee if he's going to get up now? And so I went down, Mr. Lewis, would you like to get up? He goes, a little while, I'll give you about 30 more minutes. You know, so okay. And so we go back up, and about an hour later, Lucinda's on stage. Lucinda hadn't, you know, I mean, she's a huge star now, but she hadn't, you know, hit yet. But here's Jerry Lee walking out the side exit of the club. That place was packed, you know, and everybody's looking at him because he's Jerry Lee Lewis, you know, all his eyes.
That's right.
And he's got one girl on one arm and another girl on the other arm, and he was drunk out of his mind, you know. And James goes, hurry up before he leaves, you know, ask him. So I went over and said, Mr. Lewis, are you going to play? And he's like, who's that woman on stage? She's awful, you know. and he just laughed, you know, and he made a big spectacle. So, I mean, the 2 hours made a big difference because he was such a sweetheart when we were talking to him at the bar. And I remember we did Shirley Lee as a sound check and stuff. Yeah. And he goes, wow, Shirley Lee, I haven't heard that in years. I remember when Bobby Lee Trammell did that song back in the 50s. That's the last time I heard that song. He's such a sweetheart. And then, you know, when he said he's got to get a little drunker first, he meant it, you know.
Yeah,
and then he was
into another personality.
but then, yeah, so we stayed there for 7.5 years.
7.5 years at the Palomino. And then you took the barn dance.
Yeah, well, they were going downhill.
Did you do a little hiatus before you ended up at Shack Sugar Shack?
Not at all. We went from one week to
the
the other. And the Palomino was just really going downhill. They had tons of problems. And Sherry, Tommy Thompson's widow, took back over. And she had great ideas to try to bring it back to the old days. But she meant well, but she just didn't know. I mean, she thought Garth Brooks would play there or something. I said, Sherry, you got to get like the Delbert McClintons and those kind of people. That's the kind of people that play there. But they were huge debt and everything. And I saw the writing on the wall, so I moved it out. Sugar Shack wanted Alligator Lounge, and everybody, Dave Alvin and Allen Larman, and those people said, Ronnie, Eddie really wants it over there. Take it over there. And I remember Eddie at the end of one of our Elvis birthday bashes used to put, we used to do it at Lingerie years ago, and it was like huge night, and Dwight did it and stuff, and I'm like, wow, it's over, you know, and because it's a big thing to put on. And here comes this guy with real long hair running down to the stage, and he goes, "Hi, my name's Eddie." He goes, I run Jack Shear Shack, and here's my card, and if you ever want to do anything over there, you know, just give me a call. And this was like years before even, and so I remember that, and he totally remembers that like yesterday too, and so I did go over there, and it was wonderful over there, but then it had the same problem where, you know, they were having kind of problems over there, and financial problems and all kind of personal problems over there, and the vibes, so they wound up selling that place, you know. So then I had to leave there, and we moved just.
But that's recently.
Yeah,
isn't it?
that's just like
so.
As of
so
May
you moved from the after 7.5 years at the Palomino. You went to Jack Sugar Shack, but Jack Sugar Shack was still on.
No, they had just
were
about a week.
They just moved to
just
Hollywood.
moved like a week before.
I have to tell you that I bought a house near Pico and Robertson because I'd be walking distance from Jack's, and while I was in escrow, they moved to Hollywood, so I was sort of out of luck.
I think the second week they were open at Hollywood and Vine is when Junior Brown actually opened the club. He did the first night there, and they were getting wonderful people. Don Walser and all these people were playing there, and what's his name? Robert Earl Keane, the guy from Texas, and stuff, would play there all the time.
All the guys with 3 names.
And it was
You
great.
got a middle name you want to start using for your stage
Yeah, I'm
name,
going to do
James?
it too. Jimmy Bob Intveld.
Okay. We're here with Jimmy Bob Intveld and Ronnie Rick Nelson Mack
Oh, I don't know about that.
Hey,
on
what?
88.5 member-supported KCSN. What's your
So-
middle name, Ronnie?
Alfred. Yeah.
We're here with
It's my father's name. Yeah.
R.A. Mack.
That's it.
How's that? 2 initials. That'll work.
But yeah, so for the first 2 years, we were here with this. You know, KCSN was that format. It was like perfect, and 5 days a week. You know, so what they did was alternative country, traditional rockabilly, roots type of music, and so we were broadcast. But then the station, you know, they were always under the gun, kind of like from the school at the time, to change the format and stuff. And so finally they did, you know, and they switched to the current classical format and stuff. But so we continued to barn dance the same format though as a radio show, and continued it on. And later on, we wound up doing like a best of the barn dance on KXLU.
Okay.
You know, as part of the Happy Trail show, and I would tape the show every week and then edit it down.
Is Happy
and
Trail
put that
still
on.
happening?
Yeah,
KXLU?
Robert,
When's it
he's
on?
on every Thursday night at 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock
Yeah,
at night.
yeah.
Right.
So Robert was nice enough to give me like an hour of his show to do the best of the barn dance over there.
That's great. So, how many years at Jack's total?
5.
5.
Yeah.
And it's just been recently that, was it earlier this year?
Yeah, it was like in May.
Eddie
when-
closed Jack's,
Yeah.
sold
Yeah.
the spot. And did you keep doing the barn dance somewhere else?
Yeah, again, we didn't miss a beat. We just went from one place to the other.
And where'd you go to?
And we went to Culver Saloon, which was like the happening place for that on weekends, which it was for many years. You know, it was a line dance club.
Uh-huh.
And I played that stuff there for years. I played there like a couple of nights a week for like 3 years.
You live down in that
Down
area,
that area,
don't you?
yeah, right.
And you've played at a number of different clubs in that area on
yeah.
different nights of the week. You still have
Still
gigs
do.
down
I
there?
played a cinema bar Monday nights.
Which
over
is
there,
at?
right around the corner. It's like a Sepulveda in Washington Place. It's like a little neighborhood bar. You know?
Monday nights?
Yeah, just by myself. I don't just do
Solo.
country. I mean, yeah, it's just they don't even-
Ronnie Unplugged.
Yeah. It is.
Behind a piano? Or
No, it's me a guitar. They have a piano there, but it's out of
You
tune.
take requests?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do you ever get stumped?
Oh yeah. I usually get stumped when they ask for like Jimi Hendrix songs or something.
Yeah. Well, you
'Cause
know,
it's-
I'm going to come in and I'm going to ask for something that I know that you're not going to be able to do. Maybe
They-
I should. I'll give you a hint.
They get into like
beforehand.
late '60s like hard rock songs and stuff. Like they ask for "Stairway to Heaven," Led Zeppelin songs, and, stuff. And I actually like that stuff a lot. You know, I just don't know it. You know?
Yeah. So you took the barn dance to the Culver Saloon
Yeah.
without missing a beat.
Yeah, well, I wanted a place in a hurry to, because one of the things I always did in a barn dance was to try to do something that I always felt radio stations don't do, at least country areas. That's to remember the legends and the pioneers that are like no longer with us or so like that. So we'd always do like a Hank Williams birthday tribute, which we just did last month as our last barn dance was for a Hank Williams tribute. And Buddy Holly, Patsy Cline, we do them for Gene Vincent, Eddie Cochran, and Graham Parsons and stuff. So I wanted a big thing for Rick Nelson's 60th birthday kind of thing. And I needed a place in a hurry, and everybody said, well, you know, that's the happening place on Friday and Saturday now. You know, they don't do the line dance thing. And okay, and I love those people that own the place. I've known them for years. They're like family. And so we did it there. And but that was the only good night we had. I mean, that was like a huge night. The Nelsons came down with their band, Gunnar Matthew and Billy Vera came down. He wrote a song for Rick in the 60s, and I mean, Oral, he came down, and Big Sandy and Russell Scott and everybody was there. It was wonderful, but then it was just well, it's too far to drive on a Tuesday night. You know, we're not going to go there, drive way down there. And drink glasses are shaped so it makes it look like you're getting more in the glass than you're getting, so we're never going to buy a drink here anymore.
That's what people are saying.
Yeah. So the turnouts were, and the thing was, I wasn't booking for a long time dog shows at all. I mean, it's like just really trying to get the best I can possibly get every week. And because I was always a hard part of the booking thing too, is people calling and calling and calling that I knew they just weren't good. Their bands just aren't very good, and I don't want to tell them that. So it's kind of like, okay, put them on and like be nice and have them on and get it. Unfortunately, the next day they're back on the phone again wanting another date. You know, but so it didn't work very well, and I didn't want to leave there. I liked it, but people who used it as an excuse, Tuesday night, we're not going to drive like that. So then Slim Jim Phantom up at the Cat Club from the Stray Cats, you know, he's got a place right next to Whiskey up on the Strip. And other places, Garage wanted it, and what's the place out in Burbank? Cody Bryant plays out all the time.
Mexican restaurant place?
Rick Shea plays there a lot. And stuff.
Yeah, they play.
Viva Fresh, yeah. And they were interested, and they wanted to like make all the accommodations for me and stuff. But the Slim Jim Phantom wanted it, and I thought, oh man, you know, it's like right next to Whiskey on Sunset Strip, a block from the Viper Room, 2 blocks from the Roxy. Slim Jim owns it. He's a mover and shaker. He's got this big jam on Thursday night. He's got Slash and Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses. All these people going in there. Jimmy Page going in there. You know, he's got 400 people crammed into an 80 capacity place on a Thursday night. This is going to be a step up. Now we're going to get a television show. We're going to be on Sunset Strip. It's our next step to work on the television show. Because Billy Block's got one. You know, he based his whole thing on CMT on the Barn Dance. He used to be in the Barn Dance house band. And he's got a thing like that on CMT now. And then it was, our first night there was fine. There was a big crowd. And Deke Dickerson and James was on the first night. Yeah, it was great. And
James gets to do all the first nights.
Yeah, and
right?
Our special
Yeah,
show.
you know, I get to go down there, pop the cherry for the ball dance, wherever it's at.
Not the LA Weekly, the New Times, they plugged this thing on Tuesday where they called you the country super throb troubadour.
That sounds like something you buy at an adult
not super
store.
throb.
Yeah, that's that.
Not super throb.
Super throb.
You better get this right. You know?
It's okay, Ronnie. Whatever
Swoon
the
throb. That's what
Swoon
so I guess
throb.
the girl's swoon and the guy's throb is what it is. But a country swoon throb troubadour is what the New Times just called you.
Wow.
That's so cool.
So things started out okay at the camp.
Well, the first night, but after that, it was just a disaster. We had the worst turnouts and the worst bars ever. And then it was after, you know, one of the things that Jack Sugar said, well, I got to pay to park. You know, parking's so bad, you got to drive around and pay to park. And then, so you go move down to Culver Saloon's got nothing but miles and miles of free parking, and that was too far to go on Tuesday. Okay, so I moved up to the Strip. Well, I got to pay to park. Where are we going to park at up here? Oh, drink prices are too high.
Hey, Ronnie,
And
I got a great idea. We do it, and see, if we had a TV show, then everybody could just stay home. They wouldn't have to worry
That's
about
true,
parking
yeah.
or buying a drink.
But the basic thing is that from the time on the early years of KCSN, Palomino, is that the scene isn't the same. It was a total community.
You know what? You know what I've learned also about this is that it's somewhat of a thankless task to be the organizer of this kind of thing. I spoke to Thomas Cassidy, who used to host Luncheon at the Music Center on the old classical station here in LA. He did the whole show by himself. You know, booked who he was going to have as guests 5 days a week, hosted the show, made sure everything ran smoothly. After 12 years and 8 months, it's got to really wear you down because it is totally a labor of love.
You know, at times it did, but mostly because it's not what I did. I mean, I got a day job, and I'm playing bars at night, 5 sets a night, every night, and stuff like that. So there's that whole other thing going on. Plus the financial part was the drag, because to this day, it's like I've invested like $100,000 out of my pocket. That's the part of the free admission thing, which the clubs always didn't want, that I wanted to always stick with, because the way the club makes money is off the bar. And whatever expenses they have comes out of the admission. You know, it comes in at the door. Well, with this, they got to pay the house band, which I have, They provide all the equipment for all the other bands to use. They're there from 8 to 2. They back people up, so they get like $50-$60 a piece, you know. But so they got to be paid. The bartenders got to be paid. The waitresses got to be paid.
Right.
The electric bill, all this stuff has to be paid. All that's has to come out of the bar, which the club is supposed to keep for themselves.
Right.
So that's where the pressure always came from.
It's just
you know?
hard to make that all, you know, like the ends meet on all of that.
Yeah.
You know, Ronnie Mack is with us on Citybilly on 88.5 KCSN. James Intveld with us as well. Do you agree with Ronnie, James, that the scene, the country music, the American music scene in LA is a whole lot different from 15 years ago, 10 years ago?
Yeah, let's not even say 15. Let's talk about 20 years ago when I first met Ronnie. And, you know, people used to go out to listen to music, and you would have, like, Ronnie Mack would play on a show, like even like Club 88 or whatever. These clubs, like,
definitely even healthier 20 years.
Yeah,
it was
like,
and a blast.
You would have, you'd have a punk rock band, you'd have a country band, you'd have a rockabilly band, and maybe a blues band, all on the same bill. And all the people would come to see all the bands. You know, it wasn't so segregated back then. It was like, this was alternative music to everybody. So back then, people were really into going out, spending money. People were drinking because there wasn't, you know, it wasn't so bad to get a DUI. I mean, you know, now it's like...
You didn't hear it on public radio.
Right. Well, you know,
it's always bad to get a DUI, and it's always bad to be liquored up when you're behind the wheel.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad back then if you got one. Now, if you get one now, you're
I don't think that mattered to Top Jimmy very much one way or the other.
No, he didn't drive anyways. But the point is that everything was a little more relaxed back then, and now everything is really, really tight, and people are afraid to drink and to go out. And, you know, now we have videos and you know,
a zillion cable channels on television.
There's too many things for people to do to stay home and not spend any money. And so live entertainment in nightclubs, you know, across the board isn't what it used to be. And I think when the barn dance first started, there was still a lot of that going on, and there were people still going on. And now a whole generation is gone, and then another generation. Me and Ronnie have seen. I remember when we first, you know, we were hanging out with Ray Campy, like late 70s, early 80s, and he would tell us about the old days, and now we look at it and go, wow, you know, we can remember gigs from 1981 or 82, and that whole generation is gone. They've had kids and they have families now, and then the next generation came in, then the Big Sandy generation came in, and now they're not the second generation to what's going on now. So it keeps moving on, but everything's changing because of all the things that we have now for entertainment. You know, I mean, back before they had television, people actually played music. Like, they'd sit on their porches and the neighbors would come over and they would have little jam sessions. I mean, entertainment has gone a long way, and now it's kind of like the gap is really wide. There isn't it's kind of like the mom and pop stores, you know, they're gone, and the mini malls are happening, and it's the same for the music. And so to have a show like the Barn Dance, it's really good when you have a lot of good acts on that specific show. But if just in general, for people to go out for fun and be able to explore and see new bands, because I mean that was the whole point of the Barn Dance. It isn't about putting, you know, all these big people on, because everybody already knows who they are. It's the new people that Ronnie was trying to get on the show to introduce them to the audience. But audiences won't come if they don't know who they are.
Not anymore.
No. So that's the difference. In the old days, someone would go, oh, wow, you know, Social Distortion is playing, and James Harmon and Ronnie Mack is on the show. They'd go to see Social Distortion, and they would get to hear these other bands. And that's what was good about the scene before. And that's what's
talking on the
now.
phone, James and I, a few weeks ago, about how in the early years of whether it was Barn Dance or even before, there'd be, you know, Dave Alvin, Rosie was big at the time. She had her Warner Brothers thing. She was huge at the time, or James, and whatever was going on at that time. And now it's basically, and then later on Big Sandy came on a little farther on. But now the people that were most cared about on the scene are still them. But there hasn't been another day to make have the impact of a Dave Alvin or to have the impact of a Rosie. There's nobody like that since then. Just come along. And there used to be back then when you had the Daves and the Rosies, then there was a second tier, like the Lucinda Williamses, or at that time at George Highfill, who had his like Warner Brothers album out that Pete Anderson produced, or so like that. So
But
then
it took Lucinda 15 years to break through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But people would still come see them. They were still interested, but now there's not a second tier. It's still just that higher level. And what all had to do with like KCSN at the time and the barn dance, that there was like a mission people had. It was like, what is going on in country radio, they felt was like an insult to American musical culture kind of thing. They felt like this is watered down, diluted, third-rate, generic kind of pop music. And I never knocked that stuff. I always thought that's one part of it, and that's fine. My only problem was just the total exclusion of everything else.
Right.
You know?
But the other interesting thing about that is that so many people who ended up making it to that aspect of radio, let's say, and that aspect of the country music scene came out of this roots thing, and it was without something like the barn dance, and without radio shows like Folk Scene and what's the show at KXLU?
Happy Trails.
Happy Trails. You know, without these kind of things, Mary Chapin Carpenter wouldn't have had a career without something.
She
like
did
that.
an early barn dance at the Palomino.
Right.
She came to
So
town.
that's the sort of thing we look at, and people persevered. I also wonder. I have to tell you, James, Ronnie, did you ever think you'd be sitting around one day and going, "Boy, I remember what things were like in the
20 years ago.
days." Yeah. Sort of bemoaning. I miss the good old days.
It's pretty funny to be here and to be thinking like that, and to be talking about, I mean, it's weird when you have a memory of a gig from 20 years ago. That's like...
Well, we met at Club 88 in 1980. It's been 20 years exactly since we've known each other.
The reason we're...
Ronnie was... How old were you? Were you 8?
26.
You were 8, and I think I was 4.
But, the thing is we both... We talk... This comes up a lot because we both remember it like it was last night. And we remember they had this dingy back room in back of the stage where the musicians like hang out. And I'm sitting there like on a couch, I guess, with my guitar, and he's got like his pink pants, and he's all 50'd up, like young Elvis, 21-year-old Elvis. And he's standing there with his guitar, and his brother's sitting there. His brother was 18. I don't even know how he got in a club at the time.
We used to play all those clubs like that.
And he was doing a trio. And I remember he's standing there playing the solo to Traveling Man, note for note. And I'm thinking, how does this kid know this stuff, like note for note and stuff? And ever since then, we've been like brothers.
And did you know that because your brother was playing with
This was before that.
It was before my brother played. No, it was just that we had seen a picture of Ronnie in the paper. Me and my brother going, "Who is this guy? Ronnie Mack? Look at he's got this
high pompadour at the time.
High pompadour and his guitar and we'd see pictures of him, and we never had played any gigs with him at the time. And then all of a sudden there was this date at the Club 88, and it was Ronnie Mack was on the show with us, and we thought, well, we're going to meet this guy now. So we went to the show, and Ronnie was there, and Ronnie had done some Rick Nelson songs and stuff. And so I said to him, "Oh, you like Rick Nelson, do you?" And he says, "Yeah, I like Rick Nelson." And then so I just peeled off that Traveling Man solo because we liked Rick Nelson too, and so it was just one of those things where he liked a lot of the same stuff we did, and we had a lot in common musically. So, but that was like the first thing that
for us more than that, even because we have like kind of backgrounds that are somewhat similar, like the parents and stuff like that.
And the Catholic guilt.
Yeah, well, I still have that. He gave up on that, but I still have it.
Transformed.
We're sitting here and we're reminiscing about those days. The whole that community is going to gather at least one more time this Tuesday night, and where I started out this whole conversation saying there's sort of good news and bad news about Tuesday night, I'm going to add to the good news and bad news that basically it's sold out. It's going to take place at Crazy Jack's at 4311 West Magnolia Boulevard in Burbank, a tribute to Ronnie Mack's Barn Dance this Tuesday, October the 24th. As the evening progresses, they'll let more people in if people leave. And it starts with a little chicken barbecue at about 6:30. Dinner will be served from 6:30 to 10 o'clock at Crazy Jack's. And music will start about 8, and it really will be a gathering of the clan. Eddie Jennings and the Barn Dance Band, the Rhinestone Homeboys, Mojo Monkeys, Rosie Flores, Russell Scott and his Red Hots, the Blazers, Kathy Robertson, James Intveld, and Dwight Yoakam's going to drop in for a visit as well.
And he's bringing his whole band.
That's this Tuesday night at Crazy Jack's. I'm sorry to tell you that, it's one of those funny things. You talk about the Cat Club and just attendance sort of like disappearing, and then you pull together a night like this, and all those tickets are already gone.
Yeah, we're going to do that again next year. We're going to have
tribute to James Intveld.
the final.
Now, I want to play something off James's new album. I'm going to play a little set. James has got a mandolin. Maybe he'll do a couple things live. Ronnie, through my relationship with him, has always given me a hard time when he sees me wearing a suit. He pointed it out from the stage, at a bar. Look, there's René. He's wearing a suit.
Oh, you had a beard once. I used to give a hard time about that.
Yeah, give me a hard time. So now here we are, and we're talking about 20 years later. That was before Ronnie had to use Grecian formula.
There you go.
I get to give him a little hard time, too. You're tuned to 88.5 and listening to Citybilly on member-supported KCSN Northridge, Los Angeles, a service of California State University, Northridge. My name is René Engel. That set ended with a version of a James Superthrob Intveld song. The song is called Crying Over You. James was playing bass with Rosie Flores when she made that recording of his song. And you're singing harmony on it, right, James?
Yeah, I'm playing bass and singing harmony on that whole album.
Okay. I learned actually towards the end of that song that James's real middle name is René.
That's right, just like yours. I was named after you.
And you were born sort of up the road from me, because I was born in Antwerp, and you said you were born in Holland?
That's right. I came over here as a baby.
How old were you when you came stateside?
I was 18 months, I believe.
Before me. I was a little bit older than you. Just barely. Headed to Montreal first.
Well, and since I'm much older than you, you must have been named after me.
If you say so.
He's trying to think, what did he mean by that? If you say
so. From James's previous album, this one comes from 1997, and the album, we were talking about how James was saying 20 years ago, every night people would stay to see all kinds of bands, no matter what kind of music at the clubs. This album of James is filed in the KCSN library in the alternative section.
Oh, it is? Cool.
In that way. And we heard an old Don Gibson song, Blue, Blue Day, and then off James's brand new album, Somewhere Down the Road, Stop the World, from the Carl Ballou songbook. Ronnie Mack, where were you born?
Baltimore. And I came out here in June of '76. So
were you 18 months old, too?
No, I just turned 22 when I came out here.
Ronnie. Come on, Ronnie. It's show business, baby.
So, yeah. Lived here longer than I lived there. So.
You got to lie about your age just a little bit,
Come on, Ronnie.
We could all be 39, so like Jack Benny and my mom.
Stayed out for 50 years, didn't he?
I know, he did. I want to let you know about how this radio station is possible, because it's possible through the support of a lot of companies and through the support of you. And we're just a couple of weeks away from our fall membership drive. So here's a word about some of the support we get, and then a way that you can participate in KCSN's Fall 2000 subscription drive starting on the 3rd of November.
Programming on KCSN is supported by the Gas Company, a Sempra energy company, providing comfort for our lives for the last 133 years. Whether it's a hot shower, precise temperature control for cooking, dry warm clothes, or heat for our homes, the Gas Company has always been dedicated to customer service. Clean, reliable, efficient natural gas. The Gas Company, a Sempra energy company. Glad to be of service. Reliable sources say KCSN volunteers are well-educated people who appreciate the finer things in life. They are thoughtful, polite, highly evolved, and better dressed than most human beings. The average KCSN volunteer is politically astute, reads 12 newspapers a day, and has a handy grasp of quantum physics and horticulture and things like that. They are wise and diligent, loyal and trustworthy, and they all carry extra Band-Aids. For the KCSN volunteer, a good deed is a good time. Yes, KCSN volunteers fight the good fight, befriend the friendless, and always put the caps back on the pens.
Fight the good fight for KCSN. Become a volunteer for our fall membership drive beginning November 3rd. Hang out with your favorite radio hosts, meet interesting people just like you, and enjoy all the free food you want. Sign up now. Call 818-677-3090 today.
We're visiting on Citybilly on this Sunday, the 22nd of October. Boy, this year just whizzed by. I don't know how that
I'm going to be René Engel for Halloween.
Ooh, he's getting back at you, Renee.
You gonna wear a suit and tie and a fake beard?
Legendary talk show host.
Oh my God.
You see, I shouldn't have opened that.
I was gonna say, man,
That's a wrong turn.
You're
right.
a true music. 20 years, he just said he's been doing Citybilly now. You're a true music legend. See, we're just legends in our own bathroom. We're legends in our own bathroom, and you're a real musical legend.
Tuesday, October the 24th, music-packed tribute to Ronnie Mack's Barn Dance at Crazy Jack's Saloon in Burbank, located on West Magnolia Boulevard. 4311 is the address. And for directions, call Crazy Jack's at 818-845-1121. Tickets are sold out, but they will through the evening. If people, like the early shift leaves, they've eaten, they've listened to a little bit of music, they will, as people line up, let you in. So it might be worth heading down and checking things out. Dwight Yoakam and his band are going to be performing. James Intveld will be there. Kathy Robertson, the Blazers, they've got a great new record out on Rounder. Russell Scott and his Red Hots, Rosie Flores, Mojo Monkeys, the Rhinestone Homeboys, Eddie Jennings and the Barn Dance Band, and one of my good buddies, Juke Logan, is going to MC the whole evening.
We're going to have a jam at the end of the night, too, which has kind of like always been part of the Barn Dance. At the end of the Barn Dance, we have an open jam for like working singers and musicians. So a lot of the musicians, Kevin Banford, Ray Campy, all those people that, you know, aren't on the show itself, we're going to get everybody up that we can with the Barn Dance House Band and stuff, and play some tunes for everybody. And
So we'll be going to about 4 in the morning,
yeah,
I think.
probably,
Is that right?
yeah.
It's interesting how that happened, because before I got to say anything about the jam at the end of the evening, the guy who has made sure that people who don't have a chance to perform any place mentioned it first. So this Hillbilly Jam will end the evening at this tribute.
Part of
to
the
Ronnie
nice
Mack's
thing
Barn
about
Dance.
even the jam or the Barn Dance is that a lot of people got their bands together from seeing other Wiley and the Wild West show. I mean, Wiley used to hang out there. Will Ray used to hang out there and play in other bands, and they put Wiley and the Wild West show together through that. And he met all of his bands through. Then Wiley's doing great now. He's on Rounder and all over the Nashville Network, and he's played the Grand Ole Opry now like 50 times. You know, and he yodels, and he just knocks them dead.
What's Will Ray up to?
He's got his own studio, and he produces a lot of CDs for all kinds of people, and he sends them to me in the mail and stuff like that. I don't know if he plays with the Helicasters when they play.
When they play.
With Jerry Donahue and John Jurgensen, who's been playing with Elton John for a few years.
Really?
Oh, yeah, for the last couple of years he's been playing with Elton John. Yeah, and of course he's with the Desert Rose Band for years before that. But he came down, John came to one of our last shows that Rose Maddox did on a Barn Dance, which is, I think, was the first time I ever met you, was when we were playing at Rose Maddox at a place called the Baltic Sea in Culver City. Yeah, you remember that?
I did come to that
show.
early
80s. But she did her last Southern California show on the Barn Dance, and I think John came down. Yeah, John came down and played, and a steel player, JD, came down and played with her and stuff like that too.
Oh, that's when she came down. She wasn't doing the thing when John was actually in her band. I think that was the time she came down and Ray recorded me and Rose Maddox doing Dark as a Dungeon.
That was in a studio. We went out and recorded stuff with Rose Maddox. It's never come out. Ray Campy was like wanting to put that stuff out. He hasn't got it. But the jam alone, Springsteen came down, the Jack Sugar Shack, and he came up and sat in with us and did a couple tunes. And Marty Stewart, I remember at the Palomino, came down and sat in with us like for an hour and a half. He just played some songs on his own. He backed other people up, and Brian Setzer and all these. The jam alone is, a lot of people say they like the jam better than the Barn Dance even, because some of the people show up and stuff,
By that time, you might be able to get in, so show up late just for the jam on Tuesday night. Crazy Jack's is located at 4311 West Magnolia Boulevard in Burbank. This Tuesday night, a tribute to Ronnie Mack's Barn Dance. Currently, it's sold out, but they'll start serving a chicken barbecue dinner at 6:30 to those people that have already made dinner reservations. They're going to serve dinner till 10 o'clock. Music starts at 8, and the whole evening ends with the traditional barn dance jam that closes out every barn dance night.
Renee, can we also mention that Ronnie plays at Crazy Jack's every Sunday night?
I'll be there
Good.
2 hours from now. I'll be playing there all night. It's free to get in.
That's a
Sound
regular
check?
gig.
Do I need to get you to your sound
I
check?
got to set up PA stuff up and everything.
Okay.
But yeah, we start at 8:30 and we're there all night, and it's free to get in. Anybody wants to show up? Maybe
And that's every Sunday.
Maybe I can talk this guy into showing up tonight.
I used to show up once in a while, bring my lap steel,
lap
remember?
steel or play some bass or something.
Maybe
whatever.
I can talk this guy into doing a tune with his mandolin. Would you?
Okay, sure. I'm going to do a song off the new CD, and this is the title track. It's called Somewhere Down the Road. Let me back this up a little bit here. It's a long stretch of highway rolling down the Eastern Road. I ain't got much to my name, but my dreams are solid gold. Traveled each end of the byways to know that it's alright, but I gotta stay on the main road. I can't leave this endless fight. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm thinking, well, somewhere down the road things are gonna look much better. Somewhere down the road things are gonna turn my way. Somewhere down the road we're gonna be together. Somewhere down the road I'm gonna have my day. We're looking for a little action. Been moving from town to town. I gotta get some satisfaction. I'm gonna this time around. I gotta keep myself together, but it's so hard to know. Well, I gotta hold on to the next stop, but my story ain't been told. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm thinking, somewhere down the road things are gonna look much better. Somewhere down the road things are gonna turn my way. Somewhere down the road we're gonna be together. Somewhere down the road I'm gonna have my day. Watch another lonely sunset. I'm feeling a little lost and low, like a big old train rumbling deep down in my soul. Knowing that the day is ending, well, I keep singing my song. Well, I gotta pick up the pieces, I gotta keep moving on. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm thinking, somewhere down the road things are gonna look much better. Somewhere down the road things are gonna turn my way. Somewhere down the road we're gonna be together. Somewhere down the road I'm gonna have my day. Thank you.
It's nice to do it that way. It's nice to get a little James Intveld unplugged.
Oh man, once in a while.
It's good to see him back in men's clothes again too. I'll tell you that.
That's right. Boy, it feels different though. Still trying to get used to it.
Do I have to take responsibility for that take too?
Oh no, but you know what, Ronnie? I have too much material on Ronnie for him to be messing with me. We've known each other too long.
The album is brand new.
Yes, it's been out now for about I guess it's been out about 6 months.
Oh, that long?
Yeah, it's been out for a little while, and we've been touring on it. In fact, we just got back from a tour of Texas, and we've sold about 4,000 albums on our own on this Molinar Records, which is our own label right now, because I was on Risk Records for a while, but that company closed down. So we were waiting to get another record deal, and in the midst of waiting, for something that sounded like a good deal, we said, well, let's just make the record ourselves. So that's what we did, and we put it out, and it's been doing really, really good for us. So it's kind of fun to do it this way.
I think it's a great way to do things. It's good. Besides Tuesday night, some shows soon here in L.A.?
Well, actually, I'm playing the Culver Saloon on Friday.
This Friday night?
Yes, it's coming up this Friday. I'm at the Culver Saloon, and if you want to see any other dates of that we're playing, you can. If you have a computer, you can look up jamesintveld.com, and we have our website, and we've got all the dates. And
you know, I was going to ask you in this cyber world, in this .com age, whether there was something like that, and you got to.
There is. It's been about a year now that we've had it. And I actually have a computer at my house, even though I don't really know how to use it, but I do know how to look. They made it easy for me. They made this thing where I just have to click on where it says my website, and I can check it, or I know how to type a letter now too. So doing pretty good.
Who's your webmaster?
Webmaster is a guy named Robert Stevens, and his sister Tracy Webb. Both of them together are started this website for us, and they've been doing a great job. And people, I guess we've had over 10,000 people log on to it. You know, they got a little counter on there. So, and people, can get a lot of information from that, from our website. And people go, wow, you got a really good website. And I'm like, I do? So it's good. It's worth checking out.
Okay. James Intveld, INTVELD, right?
That's correct.
.com.
.com.
All lowercase, no spaces or anything on the name.
Yeah, I believe so.
That's the way it works. Is there a Ronnie Mack?
That's the same here. Earl here is filming this right now. He does the Barn Dance website for me, and he always has. And I didn't ask. I never brought. He just came up to me one night.
What's the address of the Barn Dance?
What
website?
is it? Is it Barn?
ElectricEarl.com, and you look in the music section.
So what is it again?
Electric Earl.
Electric Earl, EARL.
Yeah.
ElectricEarl.com.
Right.
And look in the music section.
Yeah, and there's a link right there.
Okay, so the link is there to the Barn Dance.
I got a call from this guy named Ted Merkel in Illinois. This past Bliss set me up with him. He played drums on my earliest Rollin' Rock recordings, like '81. He used to play all the bars, talking about Club 88, Madame Long's, and then these sleazy, god-awful, horrible, slimy cowboy redneck bars out in like Sun Valley and stuff I used to play. And he was only like 21 or 22 at the time, and he moved in '82. And so it's been 20 years almost since I've seen him. And he found the website, and he says, "Wow, I remember I used to play Ronnie Mack, and man, he got all this stuff going on now." And then he emailed Bliss over here, and we kind of exchanged numbers, and I finally talked to him. And it's like 18 years the other day through you, Earl.
Yeah, you see, Ronnie, the problem with having a website now like that is people can find you.
Yeah.
You know, that isn't always the best thing. You know,
Ronnie's
sometimes
is a
it's
little
good.
hidden. You got to know about
that's
Electric
true.
Earl.
Well, mine's a little obvious. I've been getting calls from people saying, "Are you the same James Intveld I went to school with in Compton, at Roosevelt Elementary School?" And I mean, it's amazing the people that are writing me, and it's like I went to school with these people that I can't remember,
The worst part about it was the last time he played the Culver Saloon, his parole officer showed up, found out
right
to his website where he was at.
Yeah, he just looks on the website pretty much.
It's tough. It's tough hiding out.
Oh, it is.
The
way he started
No more
his career.
privacy.
Oh, he started his career in all those porno movies and stuff. It's all out.
Hey, Ronnie. This always happens. The Barn Dance is for now no more, and we have this special event on Tuesday night. What are the chances of starting it up again? Would you be into it? Would you want the Barn Dance
I'd be
to keep
into
going?
it, but I have no plans to do it now because I feel, I'm leaving it open. But I feel my contribution to that music in LA now is to not do it, because I feel that there's that old saying that more isn't always better, and we're talking about how what there is of a scene for that scene now isn't anything like it used to be. It's a skeleton of what it used to be, but it's being pounded away to death. It's just constantly being done out there a whole bunch of nights of the week, the same type of music, the same people. And there's even a couple shows out there that are like barn dance oriented, that even right down to the free admission. kind of thing. So my feeling is, you know, when you keep doing that and keep the cult of people that are into that aren't going to keep going out 4 or 5 nights a week to see the same kind of thing. So somebody's going to have to take the hit, you know. So, I mean, we took the hit, and I just feel like if my whole thing for that kind of music and caring about it all this time is to build the scene, not fragment it. So I think that for that to happen now, it's to lay low and just stay out of it and, you know, let what is going on at least thrive as much as possible and stuff like that.
And then when they mess up, you can come back and do it again.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's not even a matter of
do it right.
places to do it. There's places that want it and stuff. But I don't think the location is the major thing. I mean, it plays a part for sure. Palomino was the ultimate at the time that we were there. You know, they had tons of free parking. The drink prices were okay. It was a legendary known club. We had the KCSN affiliation and stuff, and the show was free to get in, and so everything is perfect. But now it's just a different time. Like you said, it's a whole different generation, a different group of people, and the way of thinking about it is not the same, and the mission isn't there, the passion isn't there. And so I think that the people that are doing it, the clubs that are doing it, the people that are doing the free admission things, we'll let them do it, and hopefully they'll do well and build instead of, you know, if I get back into it, it's just going to fragment more.
You know, Ronnie, I think that maybe what should happen is to have an annual barn dance instead of one that's every week. You know what I mean? And put those together. I think that would be nice. Because, I mean...
I'm open to anything.
The Elvis birthday party's still happening at House of Blues every year, right?
On his
birthday.
Like 15 years, that, you know.
Exactly. And that's... Well, because my point about all that is that it's really funny how audiences are. They'll be like, you know, you can be doing something like this every week, like the barn dance, and then you take it away, and then they're like... God, how come there's no barn dance? I'm thinking, well, if you guys all showed up, then we would still have it. You know, and that's how it is with gigs in general. So I think there's a lot of people that actually want to have a barn dance, but I think that if it's an annual thing and Ronnie hosts it, I think it would be very successful. You know, and done. You know, like have a specific lineup and make it a show that everybody.
It's kind of what the Elvis show is already, anyway. You know, so in a way. You know.
Right, I know, but it's, you know, the Elvis show is.
It's all Elvis songs, though.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
You know, but I think, you know, if we had a thing like that, but, you know, you're not even hosting the Elvis show anymore.
I didn't last year.
Yeah.
No.
So, but I think it would be nice if you did have an annual barn dance and you did it every, whatever you decided, every 3 months or every 6 months. And that way, because I would hate to see that completely go away, myself personally, because, you know, for better or for worse, Ronnie's doing it and coming into it from a very honest standpoint. He's not doing it for any profit for himself. You know, obviously, everybody that knows Ronnie knows that he's spent the money. In fact, I remember, like, you know, I was a bass player in a barn dance for the first 5 years. Is that how long I did it for?
Wow.
And it was a pretty long time. And Ronnie was trying to pay everybody, you know, the musicians. And one of the reasons why I had a hard time leaving, even though I needed to leave, I went off with the blasters and stuff, was because Ronnie was paying everybody. I didn't want him to pay me. So it was like, that was one way he didn't have to pay for a bass player, was that I would do it, you know. And but, you know, I mean, unfortunately, everybody just can't play for free all the time, because this is what we all do for a living. So it's very, very difficult. But Ronnie's done it purely for the sake of the scene and for the people. And I think that's a wonderful thing. And people that come to the barn dance and see Ronnie know where his heart is. And that's a big attraction to the fact that he has a barn dance. You know, and if somebody else could, okay, we're going to have the barn dance now and Joe Smith is going to run it, it wouldn't be the same, you know. So I would say that it would have to be Ronnie doing it. And if we did an annual one, I think that would be just another idea on the same thing. But so it wouldn't go completely away, because it doesn't need to. I mean, there's always going to be new people, you know, new bands coming up with this, you know, that are influenced by all the musicians that are out now. And this is something that will always continue to happen. I mean, when I met Ray Campy, he'd been doing it for, you know, 30 or 40 years. I mean, it's not gonna like disappear. You know, it's just always gonna. There's always. I mean, now I've got people coming to my shows that are 21 years old, and you know, they're learning about this music and they love it. And you know, there's always going to be another generation of that, and I think that it's a tradition, and it should keep happening. And if we're not doing it every week, You know, if it's an annual thing, I think it would be great. And I think it would be a really good turnout that way too, because then people wouldn't say, "Well, I can just go next week again." It's like, well, if I don't go this time, I'm going to miss it for another 6 months.
I think that's a really good thought. Certainly this Tuesday night on the 24th of October, we'll get to pay tribute and sort of say thank you to what Ronnie's been doing. A tribute to Ronnie Mack's Barn Dance at Crazy Jack's, located at 4311 West Magnolia Boulevard in Burbank. The word is that it's sold out, but through the evening they may let more people in. Dinner starts at 6:30. They'll serve dinner all the way till 10 o'clock. It's a barbecue chicken dinner. There will be an auction of eclectic memorabilia and door prizes as well. Your host for the evening, none other than John Juke Logan. And through the evening, you'll hear Eddie Jennings and the Barn Dance Band, the Rhinestone Homeboys, Mojo Monkeys, Rosie Flores, Russell Scott and his Red Hots, the Blazers, Kathy Robertson. It is going to go till 4 in the morning. You're
Absolutely,
right, James. James Intveld and Dwight Yoakam and his band at this tribute to Ronnie Mack's Barn Dance Tuesday. That's in a couple of nights at Crazy Jack's. And at the end of the evening, the traditional barn dance jam. So into the wee hours.
You know what I always have to try to say, too, in addition to, well, everybody's putting this thing on Tuesday, which is incredible. It's a whole network and so many. It's people like you, I think, always have to be recognized. You know, whether it's René Engel or it's a Johnny Whiteside at the LA Weekly, or whoever, Robert Douglas at KXOU, or the Larmans, you know, and Allen and his parents, and anybody in the press, you know, I mean, down through the years, the LA Weekly has been great to us, and LA Reader back in those days, and the music, and the press and people like you, you're really like, you need to know how much you mean to people like us. Especially when you do a kind of music, if you do rockabilly or something like, I mean, you go into that knowing that you're only going to get so far, you know, and you're only doing it for the love of the music. You know you're never going to have hit records or anything like that. And
oh, man, Ronnie.
And you, especially for somebody that's been doing this, known you for 20 years or whatever, and you've been doing this for 20 years. But we just want you to know how much we appreciate this too, to play the music of local people and have them come up for interviews and perform in the studio and play stuff that nobody else would ever even consider and stuff. And we just want you to know we appreciate you and thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Every time we're together, you say that, and I blush deeply. So thank you for that. This is what we do as a community, really, and that community is gathering this Tuesday night at Crazy Jack's in Burbank to pay tribute to Ronnie Mack and Ronnie Mack's Barn Dance. We're going to listen to a song recorded in 1986 at Hitman Studios, 814 North Fairfax Avenue.
That's what it was called.
Hitman Studios. This is a song that James Intveld wrote. It's off Ronnie Mack's collection. Is this in print, by the way? Born to Rock?
Yeah, I guess you can still get it. It's out of Sweden. It's a Swedish label.
Off a Swedish label. This song that James wrote is called My Heart Is Aching For You, and we're going to follow with one off a hit record in the making. We're going to go from 4,000 to a couple of 100,000 on Somewhere Down the Road from James Intveld. Show you that.
And I get 10%.
I
get 10% too.
Thank you both for coming down tonight.
Thank you, René.
All right, and this one written by James, sung by Ronnie. And we had a call from a guy named John Akers who said he wanted Ronnie to dedicate a song to him. I'm going to do the dedication. This is for you, John Akers. It's Ronnie Mack singing a James Intveld tune on 88.5, listener-supported KCSN. That's from the new album of James Intveld. It's been out about half a year, called Somewhere Down the Road. And it's his own label, but you can find it around town. I would suggest going to say hi to Allen Larman at Rhino Records in Westwood, because they got it in stock, prominently displayed, I trust, so we can turn it into a million-selling gold record or platinum album. Right, Allen?
That's right.
Okay. James, you should go down and pull the shrink wrap off them and autograph all of them, too.
Oh.
Would be a good idea.
An in-store already.
Yeah. Have you done it? Have you done an in-store there?
I did an in-store there.
Time for another one.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
And we heard before that from a collection that has the complete Is everything on this, Ronnie?
It's everything from the 80s, all the Rolling Rock stuff.
Okay.
And,
Ronnie Mack, Born to Rock, and we heard a song that James wrote. It's called My Heart Is Aching for You on 88.5 listener-supported KCSN. You're listening to Citybilly. We've got 21 more minutes left till American Roots. American Roots is followed at 8 o'clock by Frecuencia Latina, and Juan Maria will be in and with you then. I also want to tell you, you could head down to Rhino Records to say hi to Allen Larman, but you could also join us at the Museum of Television and Radio a week from today. It's their radio festival, and Sunday the 29th is KCSN Day. We'll be broadcasting starting at 12 noon with Don't Touch That Dial and old-time radio at the Museum of TV and Radio. And then Jukebox Americana right after that at 3 o'clock, right after Writers Radio Theater. And Citybilly's going to be live from the Museum of TV and Radio as well, down in Beverly Hills at the corner of Beverly Drive and Little Santa Monica. The phone number for reservations, admission is free, but you should make reservations because space is a little bit limited. 310-786-1000, 786-1000 and the 310 area code. It is the first time they've done this kind of festival, the radio festival, from the 27th of October to November the 3rd at the Museum of Television and Radio, located in Beverly Hills, 465 North Beverly Drive, right at the corner, at the southwest corner of Beverly Drive and Little Santa Monica. And I hope you'll come down so you'll see live radio as it's happening. That's what live radio is. That's what it's all about. And I hope you'll come visit. Either come stay the whole day. 12 noon, Don't Touch That Dial. 3 o'clock, Jukebox Americana with Allen Larman. And we'll be broadcasting Citybilly from the Museum of TV and Radio a week from today, starting at 5, because we go from 5 to 7 every Sunday on listener-supported KCSN, bringing the best of public radio to Beverly Hills.
Haydn's Last Symphony begins the week on Performance Today. Yuri Temirkanov leads the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra in Haydn's Symphony No. 104. And the winners of this year's coveted Avery Fisher Prize are unusual choices. The story from critic Katrine Ames. Join Bill Morlock for the Monday edition of NPR's Performance Today.
That's at 11 o'clock tomorrow at noon on Let's Do Lunch, which it's my pleasure to host every day of the week. Weekdays, Monday through Friday, at 12 noon. We are headed to the County Museum of Art on Wilshire Boulevard for a week from an exhibition that opened today called Made in California. It's a great exhibition. You can come visit us there as well. If you're free at noon through the week, we'll be broadcasting from the County Museum of Art, from LACMA, Los Angeles County Museum of Art, of Wilshire Boulevard, just a little bit east of Fairfax. We'll be in the restaurant on the main plaza. You'll be able to find us. Stephanie Barron, who's curated this exhibit, is our guest on tomorrow's show. We'll focus on Made in California, this landmark exhibition at LACMA, which opened today and will be there all week on KCSN, 12 noon through the week. I hope you'll come visit us there. I hope we'll see you at the Museum of Television and Radio next Sunday as well. It's going to be a great week at the LACMA through this week, so come visit, come hang out. We also got a great show at the station on Wednesday evenings, just before the Opera House. It's hosted by the remarkable, effervescent, all-knowing Professor Peter Schickele, and he convenes every Wednesday at 7.
Good day, class. This is Professor Peter Schickele. Wednesday nights on KCSN-FM, you can enjoy a delightful and informative hour of music, information, and entertainment on Schickele Mix. This award-winning radio program, if I do say so myself, will lift spirits and broaden your musical horizons, satisfying those hard-to-answer questions that have plagued you since your childhood. Schickele Mix, Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. here on 88.5 KCSN, the very best of public radio.
The professor does a fun show and an informative show. It's a great show to listen to, and it's followed by the Opera House, and that's a fun show to listen to as well. So check us out, 24 hours a day. KCSN. Earl just asked me, he said, you broadcast 24 hours a day? We do. And thanks for listening. I'm glad that you're with us every Sunday for Citybilly. I hope you're tuned in other days of the week as well. And come visit us on the World Wide Web. It's not as difficult as Electric Earl. It's just as easy as jamesintveld.com. It's kcsn.org on the World Wide Web. And we may be already streaming audio live as you hear it on the radio, so you can tell your friends across the country or around the globe. The people at your record company in Sweden, Ronnie, they can start listening to Citybilly pretty soon as well. So come visit us at kcsn.org. Earl wanted to know where Citybilly came from, so I'm gonna let all of you know. It's a while since we've talked about this. I was taking a class here at Cal State Northridge in cultural anthropology. It was a folklore class. It was supposed to be taught by Bess Hawes, who, it was 1976, and she was planning some stuff for the bicentennial. So she wasn't teaching the class, and there were some, like TAs that ended up running the course. I was actually going to do my course project by going out to visit with Merle Travis and learning some of his guitar style from him, but he wouldn't take visitors. He was living out in like Newhall area in a trailer home. And the people in the class, the people who taught the class, said that they used to put down people who, folk singers who didn't learn in the oral tradition. And they used to, put them down and call them Citybillys, because you had to learn in an oral tradition to be an authentic folk musician. So like Joan Baez and all those people were, Citybillys. I thought, heck, if we've got a folk music that's still happening, it sounds like a good name for a radio show. Wow. And that's what it was. How's that, Earl? Now you've got it on videotape. That's pretty good. Merle Haggard's got a brand new record out. This is off that album. The album is called If I Could Only Fly. Who knows who might visit us at the Museum of Television and Radio a week from today when we broadcast live from Beverly Hills during their radio festival. That goes out to Bliss, who's here in studio. She asked for that song, and she's done so much to contribute to this whole community that Ronnie talks about here in Los Angeles, and so much to make the tribute to Ronnie Mack's Barn Dance this Tuesday night at Crazy Jack's in Burbank happen. So that's for Bliss. You're tuned to 88.5 member-supported KCSN, Northridge, Los Angeles, a service of California State University Northridge, bringing the best of public radio to Chavez Ravine. I hope we'll see you through the week at the County Museum of Art at LACMA as we broadcast Let's Do Lunch at 12 noon every day from Made in California, their landmark exhibition which opened today. So 12 noon at LACMA throughout the week. A week from today at the Museum of Television and Radio in Beverly Hills at the corner of Beverly Drive and Little Santa Monica, southwest corner. It's KCSN Day in their radio festival. We start at 12 noon with Don't Touch That Dial. Jukebox Americana with Allen Larman live from the Museum of TV and Radio. And come visit and join us through Citybilly as well. Come spend the whole day next week. We hope we'll see you Tuesday night at Crazy Jack's in Burbank for this tribute to Ronnie Mack's Barn Dance. And also want to credit a few other people who have been very active in making this evening happen and putting it all together. Leonore Crystal, I think she got named after one of the Beethoven overtures, didn't she, Bliss? I thought you told me that. Virginia Lee, Wendell Williams, Steve Smith, all the people that are working security. I hope we'll get a chance to say hello to you Tuesday night at Crazy Jack's in Burbank as well. What?
Allen Larman's working security.
Allen Larman's going to be in security. God, you have all these chances to come see Allen next week. See him do his radio show at the Museum of TV and Radio, or come see him Tuesday night at Crazy Jack's at the tribute to Ronnie Mack's Barn Dance.
Programming on KCSN is supported by The Gas Company, a Sempra energy company, providing comfort for our lives for the last 133 years. Whether it's a hot shower, precise temperature control for cooking, dry warm clothes, or heat for our homes. The Gas Company has always been dedicated to customer service. Clean, reliable, efficient natural gas. The Gas Company, a Sempra energy company. Glad to be of service.
things are gonna look much better. Somewhere down the road, things are gonna turn my way. Somewhere down the road, we're gonna be together. Somewhere down the road, I'm gonna have my day. Thank you.
It's nice to do it that way. It's nice to get a little James Intveld unplugged.